Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Anime Sundays, the show where we talk about anime on Sundays. And today we will be discussing my top 10 favorite Jujutsu Kaisen fights. Stay tuned. As you all know, I did a video of the top 3 fights of the year of 2023, and a lot of you guys thought that some of the JJK fights should have took more of the placements throughout the year because there were so many good ones. So I thought I'd just do my own personal top 10 list of fights throughout the entire show, right? So let's get right into it. At number 10, I have Mechamaru versus Mahito. I felt like this fight was a little bit underrated. We really got to see damn near a whole Gundam battle happen as Mechamaru pulls out the crazy stops to try to stop Mahito and, you know, Geto from going on with their plan before they start Shibuya. I just thought it was a really, like, again, well-animated fight. We really got to see the pinnacle of, like, Mahito's kind of strategic ability on top of, you know, what we all love about him, which is kind of fighting spirit he has in him, where he just kind of wants to box anybody who he think might be worthy of his time for him. You know, Mechamaru's doing a lot, right? He's pulling out all types of stops with his clones. He's got, you know, vials and whatnot prepared just for Mahito to attack his soul. He's got all these contingency plans, and for a second you really think he might actually pack bro up. We even see how Mahito gets his domain expansion off, but again, Mechamaru still has these vials, these syringes to try to help him get out of that. And, you know, there's a moment where we really think he has the upper hand and he takes the W with Mahito. We see that Mahito kind of coys him into the plot and, you know, hits him with the okie doke and, you know, finishes him off. But I think all in all, in terms of choreography, you know, you got Mahito flying through the forest. It was a great directed scene. He's flying through the forest, transforming mid-battle, doing what it takes to dodge. Like, you see the real fluidity and creativity that Mahito has since part of his ability, you know, to change his shape and change his soul. And, you know, we learn about simple domains. Anytime we learn something new about fighting and cursed energy, it's always interesting. So I think it does deserve a spot on my list at number 10. All right, at number 9, we have Gojo versus Jogo. You know, pretty basic fight there. We got an intro to Gojo's abilities. I thought the best part about it was, you know, seeing the Limitless for the first time, how it worked, and of course Gojo explaining domain expansion and how OP his domain expansion actually is, you know, Infinite Void, and just really how Jogo was so severely outclassed. Sometimes you guys try to clown on Jogo because he's always getting beat up, but he's always getting beat up by the top 2 strongest cats in the verse. But it's a pretty basic fight. I just thought it was a really good intro fight. I thought it was a lot better than Gojo versus Sukuna with one finger when he first got it, even though that got a nomination for fight of the year as soon as it dropped. It's kind of ridiculous to me. But I thought it was a pretty solid fight and loved how they executed a lot of the elements. At number 8, we have Toji versus Alive Geto. After old girl got shot in the head, spoiler, you know, Toji, or you know, Geto is going off. He is severely angry. He's summoning all the cursed spirits and the tools, and he's trying to pull out all the stops. But again, he's still too young, and we know Toji, he's a professional. He's gonna clap, bro. But I just thought it was really well animated, and especially for that first half of season 2, that flashback, I thought it was probably one of the better fights of it. Even though we didn't get like a bunch of them, I did think it was probably one of the top ones. Shoot, he really only survived because Toji didn't want to kill him, and then there'd be like a explosion of a bunch of crazy curses, right? At number 7, we have Gojo versus Toji, again in part 1 of season 2. So we know that when Toji first pulls up on Gojo, his whole ploy is to get him to drop his Limitless, drop his guard, so he can catch him slipping, especially because Toji doesn't have cursed energy. We see the stops bro pulled out, right? We see he has a Heavenly Pact off the gate. He's rushing Gojo with these crazy physical moves, these moves that are granted by, you know, the cursed spirit. He's got the worm, he's pulling out the blades, and he respectfully drags Gojo, right? Cuts him really from ear to ear and shows him he's not invincible, you know, pulling out all types of other curses to help him. And it was just really fun to see that even though Gojo had shaken the game, you know, with enough preparation, he could easily become light work. The animation was really well done, even though, you know, this was still kind of like, again, a smaller fight in the beginning of the season. We seen Gojo go crazy, and then in part 2, Gojo comes back to life because he unlocks the secret of cursed energy, and he's the honored one, and he discovers Hollow Purple. I think that by itself is kind of like, oh yeah, we're really getting the full-blown extent of how OP Gojo is and what he really means to the show. And it's just good foreshadowing for what's to come. So yeah, I think that is the part 1 and part 2 together. Yeah, makes it pretty much a top tier candid slot. At number 6, we have Toji versus Dagon. I just think here they did a lot of great martial arts that is slept on. Toji with this bow staff broken in half, sharpened up. He's really doing like serious kung fu here, and I think nobody's really like paying attention. Dagon, again, a curse that's only been alive, I don't even know, a couple weeks, and he's already top 10, you know what I'm saying, in the verse. Knowing domain expansion. Got Megami, Nanami, Maki, all on the run. They're all cooked. You got Toji coming in to save the day. I just thought it was OD, like, especially with the scenery of Dagon's domain expansion. They just animated really well, and I think, you know, out of all of the Toji fights, it's probably like the second or, you know, first best one. Like, really, I don't really think the other ones were much better than that in terms of choreography. So yeah, I gotta have it on this list. At number 5, I have Yuji and Todo versus Mahito. I chose the part where Mahito has like evolved into his form or whatever, his kind of awakened form. You know, Todo's pulling out the stops, his hand's getting chopped off, he's clapping with Mahito's hand, risking his life for it. You know, Yuji's, you know, cold stone Yuji now, so he's really putting in the work. I just think they didn't really go too hard with a lot of the same elements that we saw in the first Yuji and Todo fight. So to me, it wasn't like that crazy, but also really well, beautifully done. We know the manga panels when they're splitting in 3 ways. It's all iconic now on the internet. And I just, you know, I thought it was a really great fight. I just didn't think it ended as well because obviously Yuji really never got his get back. They took the cop-out road and Geto absorbed him. But again, all in all, I think it was definitely, you know, a top tier fight in the show. So at number 4, I had Hanami versus Yuji and Todo. Now this fight I think was a lot better than Mahito and Yuji versus Todo because they just pulled out so much more knowledge that you needed to know in the fight. Like, they're talking about black flashes, they're trying to explain Todo's ability, they're trying to explain Hanami's domain expansion and her ability. They have these cats fighting in the air with the trees, dodging seeds. I mean, it really is like, you know, one of the best duo fights ever. Like, they're moving like Gon and Killua, and this is the first time they ever fought. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is some Naruto and Sasuke cooperation. Todo and Yuji just met damn near. Yeah, I just thought it was amazing. The boogie woogie. Like, I really don't have to say too much about this fight. I think it's definitely way better than the Mahito one and definitely deserves to be top 5. All right, at number 3, I have Yuji versus Choso. This was kind of like giving me very much like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, like one of those one-on-one end of the movie kung fu like finale fights. Like, they really went all out with the martial arts in this, from, you know, Yuji trying to be as strategic as possible to avoid and dodge and just stay alive against Choso's blood manipulation ability, which is very hard to counter if you're a close range fighter, right? Because it's a long range, you know, mid-range type of curse technique. So Yuji trying to do his best to even counter and dodge that, especially when he got like hit off rip coming down the subway. Like, talk about an on-site moment, that's going in top 5 of all time. But then even to the bathroom scene when they really are actually going hand to hand like Ip Man fight or like a kung fu fight, and Choso is still keeping up in martial arts. Yeah, I just think that it's one of the more slept on fights too of this season. I think everybody's really talking about all the other fights, but I feel like Yuji versus Choso, technically, martial arts wise, and then of course emotionally, we see Choso, he's realized that he's been, you know, played with, his mind's been messed with, and he finds out Yuji's his brother, right? And I especially like in the end how Choso really one up Yuji, thinking he had the better brain, but it's like you still have little to no experience. So for you to be hopping even in this arc, going as hard as you are to keep the fight. All right, number 2, kind of no brainer here. Some of you already know this. I have Sukuna versus Jogo. Again, I talked about this fight in another video. It's just a beautiful fight. They're really pairing up Shibuya. You know, Sukuna is hopping all over the place, telling people don't move or I'll kill you. They're burning the buildings down. He's showing Jogo that you're a fire curse, but I still have greater firepower. I mean, what do you really want to do here? Jogo is told he's strong and to stand proud. Animation's beautiful, and it looked like they had more time to really, you know, work on the animation and make it crispier than my number 1 fight, because, you know, the Mappa workers are really actually overworked and need help. But it looked like at this moment in time, they did a good job to keep the fight up to pace and par. And at number 1, I have Sukuna versus Maharaga. No brainer there. I just think that Maharaga as a specimen in itself is like an anomaly, you know? To have a curse come out of nowhere with such a great character design, and he's adapting to domain expansions. Literally, again, more destruction in the city. Sukuna has no choice but to pull out domain expansion. They're literally cutting people's heads off and they're just derailing trains, planes. It's getting out of hand. And the choreography is great as well, right? They don't slow up. It could have been paced a little better. That's why I think the Mappa workers definitely need their sleep there. But, you know, what can you do? This is how they work in Japan. We only get what they give us. You know, at the end of the day, I think it still is the best fight we've seen in the show, and I'm sure we're gonna see better ones. But yes, so far, that is my top 10 fights in JJK. And with that, we'll see y'all next Sunday.